Welcome to Armchair Safari, the daily stream where we try to become better designers by finding a nice piece of design online and then asking us the question, what can we learn from this? I'm your host, and I try to become a better designer by doing this every day. And today we're going to be learning from Microsoft. No, don't laugh. Yes, Microsoft. We can learn design from Microsoft. You can learn design from anyone, anything, really. So let's look at this. Microsoft launched a new illustration style. This is a couple of weeks ago. It made the rounds. It was very, I was going to say popular, but it was very, people were excited. And right off the bat, you can kind of see why. As usual, Microsoft has the finger on the pulse of their market, meaning middle-aged men who think they know what is cool with the kids. I'm not saying Microsoft is that. That is the target market of Microsoft. So this is a pastiche kind of design for what middle-aged men think that Gen Z are all about and love. And Microsoft's actually extremely good at this. Really, really good at this. They always establish a style that is modern, quite close to being very, very good, but never too close. It's never cool. And I think they do this on purpose because their clients are corporate. So I think they're actively avoiding being too cool and just getting into that sort of my mom and dad like this and it's also kind of okay area. Anyway, this thing is very vibrant colors, very 3D, very sleek, very like 90s sand, over saturated, over colorized, overlit with flecks of stuff in it. And it's very playful and it looks almost like toys meets candy sort of thing going on. And we can also see that some of the old classics are not going away. They're definitely keeping their old corporate logos. So the Excel logo is still going to be there. The Teams logo is still going to be there. Yeah, so this is Microsoft's new illustration style. So what can we learn from this? And here at Armchair Safari, what I try to do is I try to figure out what is good about this, what is bad about this, and does this work for the end user? So what is good about Microsoft's new illustration style? This is the previous illustration style. So it was completely flat, and this new one is very weird. So what is good about it is that it is super modern. It looks like something from a little bit into the future, which is very cool. They have completely understood what the current wave of futuristic looking apps is all about. It's all about playful gradients, and it's all about making things a little less serious, a little less monotone serif on a dark brown, dark background, and just making it a little bit more fun and exciting and approachable, and just make like doing it with a bit of a flair, with like poking a little fun at yourself almost. So it's not perfect, it's just like a funny expression of something. Microsoft does this incredibly well. The execution of this style is just absolutely gorgeous. How they managed to make all of these things look consistent is just beyond me as a designer. I could not have picked out this super weird, shady gradient flecky thing and put just works. It looks perfect. So this is and just applying a new type of thinking to things that we've seen and gotten used to over the years. So I think that's what I think is good about this. By the way, if you have any opinions on this, there is a chat somewhere around here, so you can just jump in and let me know what you think. But let's get into the bad, because this is Microsoft. So the bad with Microsoft design is always the same. Regardless of what they do, the bad is always, always the same bad. And we can see it down here. Of actually delivering. Crappy, um, this really crappy, what's it called when like several people don't agree and you just come up with some way of making sure that everybody is happy and equally unhappy? Compromise. Yeah. Microsoft always delivers a design compromise, and it's a terrible one, because Microsoft needs to keep their corporate clients happy, which means that the corporate UI cannot change. So every time Microsoft has done a major refresh, this time it's just the illustration style, right? So this doesn't touch the basic UI, we think, at least not yet. But every time they do, they end up creating this extremely polished, great design. Like with Windows Metro, it was released around Windows 8, and it was incredibly beautiful for the time. It was also so over-designed that it didn't actually work. You couldn't actually use it in Windows, which means that they pushed it and then immediately went back. They never even adapted most of their stuff to that look and to that idea, because it was so extreme that it would just take too long and it would just have too many fights to do it. And here they're doing exactly the same thing. This photo perfectly illustrates the problem. As we can see, we have the new illustration style for a bunch of app icons, except the core Office icons. PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, Word, and Excel are unchanged. They are the same as previous. They're now 3D, but they were kind of 3D already. They're just slightly more 3D now. They don't follow the rest of the style at all. They're just 3D. So they stick out like a sore thumb. And I think this really, really tells us something important about design. Like whatever it is you're working on, whatever type of design you're trying to do, you have to balance it in such a way that you can deliver it to be consistent across the product or across the system or across whatever it is you're doing. Because if you can't deliver it consistently, it's not a design, it's a art piece in one view or one button. If it's not consistent, then why would you even try to do it? And Microsoft is master of this, and I'm not quite sure why they're so bad at it. I know for a fact that this is incredibly hard. I struggled with this many, many, many times, trying to convince stakeholders that no, 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 we can't rush out a new feature. We actually have to deliver the rest of the previous iteration of something because it's inconsistent now. And unfortunately, that is a trade-off that very often does not work. But for Microsoft, it is a trade-off that never works. So it is very interesting to see them come up with yet another brilliant style. Microsoft is filled with brilliant stuff that just never makes it into the hands of users. And this looks like another one of these. I'm sure we're going to see several ads with this. I'm sure we're going to see these in in stores that sell Microsoft stuff. And I'm also sure that you will probably never see this in Windows, or if you do, it will be like 2 of 27 icons or something. It's really super sad. Microsoft has incredible designers, and some of the stuff they've done, I still look at Windows Metro from time to time to get inspiration for using for whenever I'm working with a flat UI, because Windows Metro was so incredibly ahead of its time. It's still worth learning from it. And I think we're going to be looking at this for a very long time and going like, wow, what could the world have looked like if Microsoft had actually shipped this? But they're not going to. So this is just another failed attempt by Microsoft. And this is a prediction. I get it. Yes, I'm prophesying about the future. But I would be willing to start a bet on ends up rolling this out or not. Gonna have to figure out some good way of measuring it, but what the hell. Anyway, so what can we, does this, the last thing we always have to do, because we're designers, we're trying to get good design, it has to matter to the end user. So does this work for the end user? If Microsoft had delivered this consistently across their services or across their products, yeah, I think this would have landed well, but that's just an opinion because this is just an art style. So it is very hard to tell. It's going to be by person, from person to person. People generally hate change. So everyone would hate it when it launched. But after 6 months or a year, you would see what people actually feel about it. And I think this would work. Microsoft designers tend to be freaking great, so I think this would work. Will we ever see it? No, we won't. No. So, will this affect the end user? Does this have a positive effect for the end user? No, This is just a bunch of money in the trash can because it's Microsoft. Unfortunately, yeah. So that's all that I think that we can learn from this. And I didn't get any chat messages today, so hopefully you didn't feel left out. As usual, the link to this Microsoft announcement is in the description below or in the next post. And for the next couple of days, I will be out traveling. I'm going to be in Lisbon. I'm going to be hanging out with some entrepreneurs and maybe even deadlifting with a horse. So we'll see if I manage to stream. I hope so. Let me know if you have any good tips on what you want to see. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue finding whatever I find online and try to learn from that. Have a good night. Talk to you tomorrow.